How's life? I'm Slavelin, and I'll be going over how to properly set up the new 501st Aux Mod GitLab repository for future use in Aux Mod development. Now, all of the links for all of the websites and downloads that I will be mentioning will be in the description of this video, so you can go ahead and check that out to get access to the websites you're looking to download, or as always, you can just Google the name of the thing that you would like to download. It is most likely going to be the first result. To further begin, as you can see on screen, this is the 501st Aux Mod repository on GitLab. And from here, we will be closely following the written README tutorial. So if you do not have time to watch the video and you do not want to sit through the entire video, you can read through these written instructions here, which have the detailed instructions for everything that I will be covering in this video, which includes setting up the repository on your computer, downloading the individual applications that you need, creating your development branch, performing merge requests, rebases, and fixing conflicting changes. So, to begin, you're first going to have to start by downloading a few applications. The first you want to go ahead and cover is Git. Now, if you are already using the Aux Mod and you're already working with the Gogs system, you should already have Git installed. It never hurts to go and see if you have the latest release and update if you are not on the latest release. But for Git, you'll go to the git-scm.com, click the download button for your operating system, and you'll get a download page to download the installer. After you download that, we're going to head on over to go to Git Large File Storage, or Git LFS, and click download on that as well. Now we have these two installed. For Git, we can go ahead and run that installer. You guess when it asks you for permission. And from here, you've got your whole license stuff. If you have already had it installed, you'll see check marks to only show new options. In this case, we'll go ahead and click next. You can update these options how you feel. You can also immediately include large file support directly from the Git setup. Now, we already have a secondary download for Git LFS. So if you already have Git installed and you're not updating it, you can use the Git LFS installer instead, which is what we're going to do here. Go hit next. You can use any sort of application for your SSH here. If you do not have PuTTY, if you do not have an already existing SSH executable, then you're going to need to use the bundled OpenSSH. That is going to be your default option. I have PuTTY installed, so that is why this is selected here. And then all of the remaining options here are going to be stuff that you can leave at their defaults. And it tells me that I need to close. I'm pretty sure that, yep, that is my mouse hub to install Git. So we're going to go ahead and do that and install Git. So while Git's installing, you can go ahead and head on over to Visual Studio Code. We'll go ahead and click the download for Windows button here to download Visual Studio Code and save that installer. Now on this home page here, there's some getting started information, some top extensions, and first step projects here to look at. I recommend if you have never used Visual Studio Code, you haven't used our code editors, to take a look at these introduction tutorials and explore a little bit and get so familiar with the very basics in Visual Studio Code. Now, as you can see, Git is done. You will need to restart your computer after you install Git. In this case, because I already have it installed, I'm not going to worry about restarting it right now. But for use of Git in the future, especially if it's the first time installating, you do need to restart your computer. From here, and go install GitLFS by clicking on the installer. This will bring up a quick installation menu with 2 buttons to click next on and hit finish. Now, before we go any further, we need to initialize GitLFS, and this is written on the instructions on the GitLFS installation, along with the instructions right here in downloading Git and GitLFS. So we're going to go ahead and open an application called Git Bash. This should be installed when you install Git. And in Git Bash, we're going to type Git LFS install. This command is right here on the README file, so you can pull it from the README if you need to copy and paste it, and hit enter. It'll say Git LFS initialized, and we're done. Git LFS has been installed and is active on your computer. You can close Git Bash. From here, we no longer need any of these windows because we have the applications installed we need. So we're going to go ahead and open Visual Studio Code. When you first install it, you'll remember the installation steps. You click on through, keep them at the defaults unless you feel like you want to customize it. And the installer will ask you if you would like to open Visual Studio Code. Keep that checked and hit finish on the installer, and you'll get a page that looks similar to this one come up on your screen. As always, it's a Windows application, so you can open it by searching in the search bar at the bottom left of Windows. I recommend pinning it to your taskbar so you can easily access it from a future time. Before we go any further, we're going to install an extension that helps us with managing Git workflows. So we're going to head on over to the extensions menu. It's these 4 blocks, or by hitting Control-Shift-X to open up our extensions. From here, we're going to go ahead and find the Git history extension. It's going to be this top result here, the clock and the green arrow on it, and there will be an install button right here. Of course, I already have the extension installed, so I don't see an install button. I see a disable and uninstall button. What this allows you to do is see Git history and the source tree for Git, and it just makes managing branch workflows easier than running commands through the command line. So we have Git history installed, and our next step is going to be to clone the repository. So on the repository homepage, where the same instruction readme is files, there's going to be a blue clone button here at the top right. We're going to click this, and then we're going to go to the clone with HTTPS option, the second one, and we're going to go ahead and hit the copy URL button. That's going to copy the URL of our project. Our next step is to go into Git history. We're going to go ahead and go to the source control, and we're going to click on the clone repository button. Now, these buttons will not appear if you already have a project open. So if you need a brand new window, you can go to File, New Window, and then going into the source control panel, you will see your open folder and close repository buttons. So clone repository, we're going to go ahead and paste in our GitLab HTTP link. It should end with .git. And click the clone from URL button, or hit enter. From here, you will get a file browser that pops up that asks you to select the location for your repo. Because this is in our repository, we're going to have to go ahead and put this within our P drive. So select the P drive, select repository location, and that will start downloading. Now this download might take a good bit, so while this is running, I'm going to go ahead and go cover a few things on our GitLab that are not directly related to or in the README, but they are good information to know and be able to use in the future. So if we take a look at our GitLab here, you'll find this main page is the repository, the file structure, same thing with Gogs. And you can go and explore what's where by clicking through these folders. The drop down here, the top left, is the branch drop down. This allows you to switch through branches and view different branches on the GitLab. You can select the plus button here to create new files, upload files, or new branches directly from the Git repository. You can also open up the web IDE, which opens up a web browser editor for you to make changes in and then commit them directly from the web. So if you're looking to just fix a spelling error in a README file or add instructions to the contributing, you can do those directly from the web without having to worry about updating your repository. You can close this editor by clicking on the 501st Aux Mod button here, and that will close the editor. Now, another important button here is the Issues button along the left, third one down. You can click that, and it'll show the list of all open issues. You also have the Closed button here, which will show closed issues. And right now is a bunch of test issues that have been posted. You can create a new issue, going to the top right, clicking the blue button, starting a new issue. Give it a title, which should allow, it should be a short, descriptive, what the problem is. Like previous issue that was listed, night vision goggles don't work. The description should be a longer description of what's wrong, preferably with images attached to show examples of the issue or other problems. Now, it is called an issue, but that does not mean it is specifically for bugs. Issues encompass everything that we added to the Aux Mod, whether that's a new feature, a bug report, general questions, those can all go within the issues category. We have labels for issues, automated issues that will appear from the Google Forms that people can fill out will be placed with the pending label, and any issues that are created by non-developers or maintainers, so people who are from outside the Aux Mod, will also be slapped with the pending label until somebody can approve those issues as either a new feature or a bug request and assign them to the proper team. There are labels for specific teams, so texturing, scripting, modeling, and whether they are features or bugs, so they can be easily categorized and determined where they're supposed to go. Now, click boards, so issues, boards, here on the left. This will bring you to our development board. This has a column for every single part of the Aux Mod at this current time. You have the closed issues all the way on the far right, and on the far left you have open and uncategorized issues. Pending issues, so ones that have not been approved yet, will be in this first column, and then as you go further right, you'll see the config column, the modeling column, the object builder column, the scripting column, and the texture column. So as issues are active, they will be within these columns, and when they are closed, they will be moved to the closed column. If we look back at issues, one important thing here is that you can assign yourself to an issue. So if you decide you're going to work on something, make sure that you select this Assign Yourself button in the top right, and that will let everybody know, hey, I'm working on this. So two people don't try and solve the same problem at the same time, and then you've done double the necessary work. The second selection here is the merge requests, which we will cover in more detail as we go further. But this is where you access the merge request page, it's directly under issues, and you can see all open and closed merge requests. Clicking on the project information button will bring you to a history of things that happen within the project, and you can look at what the past actions that have been taken on the project are. Clicking on the name of the project, 501st Aux Mod, will bring you back to our home page. And at this point, you'll notice that the Git repository is still cloning, but the loading bar is full. That is fine. That is normal. At this point, we are just waiting for the large files, such as your textures and your images, to be downloaded. If you want to be sure that the repository is finished, or the repository is currently downloading files, you can open your file explorer and look into your P drive, and you'll see 501st Aux Mod, and there should be some files that got placed here very early on in the download while the larger files are waiting. But as you can see, the repository finished, and it's asking us if we'd like to open the clone repository. You can click Open or Open New Window, depending on what you would like to do. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and click the Open folder from here and go find our repository in the P drive. Double click on the 501st Aux mod, and then hit Select Folder. We're going to go ahead and say, yes, I trust all these authors, because we are the ones developing this. And now you have the repository open. That is how you will open the repository. Whenever you open a new window, you just go browse to the file, open the repository, and there you go. You've gotten it accessed. You just want to make sure that you are opening the root folder, the 501st Aux Mod folder, and not another folder such as the add-ons folder or the docs folder within the 501st Aux Mod folder. So, we have the repository downloaded. This step has been completed. We've opened the repository. At this point, we're going to go ahead and create a development branch. Now, we don't have any issues to work on right now, except for the one about night vision, which is already being investigated. So we're not going to go ahead and give it a specific name. However, when you are making branches, you are usually going to be developing branches for a specific purpose, and the name of your branch should be indicative of what you are working on. But before we go any further, we need to go ahead and read the contributing guidelines. So we're going to open this up, or not. We are going to click on contributing. And from here, you can see the rules that are required of developers to follow when they are working on the Git repository. First up here, section is about branches. The biggest thing here is naming. So all branches must follow the following defined naming scheme. Release branches, these are releases of the Aux mod, are going to follow the definition of release / and then the version that we release. So if we're releasing version 1.0.0, it would be release / 1.0.0. If you are working on a branch that fixes an update in an active release, say an emergency bug fix, a very small patch, or small update to textures, or new helmets, nothing that is a large feature that is actively under development that would be placed into a development branch, but a very small minor thing that would be committed directly to a release branch, you're going to make a branch that starts with the version that you are targeting. So if you're going to make an update to release 1.0.0, you're going to type 1.0.0 / your name, the name of the developer, in this case, Soyblin, and then the description of what you are developing. Say, fixing a missing texture, so you'll write missing texture. The development branches are all going to be targeting the master development branch called development. This is for features that are currently in development. Say the currently released project landing pad, that was a large feature that was developed and then subsequently released recently. But this is something that would have been largely developed and not targeted towards an active release, where you would make a new release for the release. It's a lot of releases. We would make a new release for this large feature that has been completed. If you are targeting the development branch, you're going to prefix your branch name with dev, and then a /, and then your name, and then a /, and then again a description of what you are doing. In this case, we are going to be making an example of project landing pad. It would be dev / Soyblin / project landing pad, dev / Klinger / project landing pad. That is all detailed in this block of text that is underneath the table. The second is branch guidelines. Branches should target a single scope. They should be targeting a single feature, a single issue, a single enhancement to development. If you have multiple things you want to work on, then you would create multiple branches. So you are not doing vehicle fixes and adding new helmets on the same branch. Those would be two separate branches. A branch that aims at solving multiple problems will not be allowed to merge with a primary, either development or release branches. Branches must be properly based on the correct primary branch. If you are building a release update, you are not going to be making a branch based off of the development branch. You need to make the branch based off of the release branch that you are making an update for. So if you base your branch off the wrong initial branch, it is not going to be allowed to be merged in because there will be conflicts or broken features that haven't been properly developed yet being implemented into a release scope. Finally, we have merge requests. And to ensure that your branch is up to date with your primary branch, so if you're working on a development feature, you need to make sure your branch has been rebased off of the development branch, and we will cover how to do rebases later. Any changes that are made must be detailed within your merge request message, and any issues that you are working to solve or close should be also noted within your merge request message. That's all for branches. That's a lot. I will cover that, and we will be using the things that I have mentioned here throughout the rest of this video. So keep it in mind. And if you ever have any questions, you can always go reference this document or directly ask me, Soyblin, about this information. Commits should only include a single change when possible. I know that's not always possible, but strive to change one thing. Say, add razor helmets, save the files, commit it to your branch, essentially save it to the branch, and then do another change, adding Minox files. Helmets, I mean. If that specific commit is the one that finally fixes a problem, you can also state in the commit message closes the issue number, and that will close the issues automatically when they are finally committed to the main development branch. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at creating the first development branch. In the 501st Aux Mod repository at Visual Studio Code, there are two ways to create a new branch. The first is to click the branch name down here at the bottom left corner, and then click the Create a New Branch or Create a New Branch From options. Create a New Branch will base your new branch off of whatever branch you currently have selected. So in this case, I will have a branch that is based off the development branch. Create a New Branch From will let you select which branch you are trying to create a branch from. So we're going to go Create Branch From. We're going to input a name. We'll call this one Dev Soyblin. And we'll call it contributing README link fix. So you've given it a name, and now we need to select where are we going to base our branch off of. Branches that start with origin are going to be, by default, the branches that are saved in the cloud on the GitLab. Branches that start with just development, or just name, and are not starting with origin, are going to be branches that are saved locally on your computer. It's usually best to build a branch off of the origin, so you don't run into cases where you have an outdated branch on your local computer and you've created a new branch from that outdated information. So now I've got a branch. It's called named dev soyblin /readme link fix, and we can go ahead and start making our first changes. So we head back over to our README here, and we are now right here. submitting changes. So first thing you need to do is to actually make a change. In this case, the links on the README are messed up and do not take us to the proper file. So contribution guidelines link, this link right here, is not going to the right space. So we're going to head over to the Aux Mod. We're going to head to the GitLab. That's not the GitLab. The GitLab. And we're going to select contributing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it better and copy the permalink. Copy the permalink and paste it into our file. Well, actually, I'm going to go find and replace in our file. So I replace all instances of this link. I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to test to make sure it works. Which it does. Cool. And there we go. We've got a change. From here, you'll notice that after you've saved the file with your change, your source control panel has a 1 next to it. That says, hey, we have one file that has changes on it. As you can see here, it says changes, one file. Boom. Nice and simple. From this changes panel, you can open the file by clicking on the file icon. You can revert changes, which will get rid of any changes that you've made to the file, even after you have saved the file. So this discard changes will reset it back to the previous commit, whatever the contents of the file were. And finally, you have the plus button here, which stages changes. So if you are looking to, say you've changed 5 files and you only want to include 2 of them in a commit, then you can stage the 2 files you want. You can type your new commit message. Fixed contribution guidelines links. And then you go ahead and click the check mark up here at the top, and that will commit it to your local branch. That's the keyword there. It saves locally. In order to save your changes to the GitLab, so you can merge them with the master branch, or so you can let other people assist with development on your branch, they need to be published to the cloud. If it is a brand new branch, you will see a Publish Changes button. Also, down here at the bottom left corner, there would be a small little Publish Changes button as well. If it is an already existing branch, you will see a Sync button. So, now that we've covered that, there's a secondary way to pull and push comments, which is how we will, essentially what Sync does. Sync will pull and then push at the same time. You can click this drop-down button here, and you can pull to get changes from the cloud, and push to push changes to the cloud. There are more options here, such as committing commit options to stage your changes, discard all your changes, more pull and push options, and more Git management options that you can find within via this additional drop-down menu on the source control page. But we are going to first go up to the hamburger view. We're going to go to branch and we're going to click rename. I am going to go ahead and get rid of this dev at the very beginning of the name of the branch, just to show you what happens if you try and push an invalid branch name to the GitLab. So hit the Publish Changes button. And it's going to give you an error saying can't push refs to a remote. If you look at command output, you'll see that it does not follow pattern and this monstrous pattern here. That's essentially saying, hey, you've broken the rules. If you try to make a new branch in the GitLab, you'll also see an error saying it doesn't follow this pattern. If you see that error message, it means that you have not followed the contribution guidelines and your branch name is invalid. So we're going to go ahead and go back to source control, to the drop down, to branch, and then rename. and properly name our branch, and then hit the publish changes once again. And this time, we will be able to successfully have pushed our changes to the cloud. And you'll see it updates. We'll see the changes menu once again. You'll see this icon has changed to a circle with arrows on it. That says synchronize changes when you hover over it. And that means if we look at the GitLab for real this time, you'll notice that not only is there a pop-up telling us that we can create a merge request because we've just committed changes to a branch, but if we look at our branch dropdown, our branch is listed here with our changes on it. So you've changed your branch, you've made your fixes, you've done your updates, and now it's time to create a pull request or a merge request. Now, you can click this button right here, and that'll take you to the proper page. Or you can go to the merge requests and click new merge request. And from here, you're going to select your source branch. This is your branch that you were just working on. So in this case, dev soyblin readme fix. And the target branch, which is our development branch here. So I'm going to go ahead and click compare branches and continue. This will bring us to the second part of our pull request, merge request process. The first here is setting your title. It sets this to the first or the latest commit message. In this case, it works. We're going to also include a notice of what changes we have made. We're going to go ahead and give this a label because it was a bug that we fixed here. And any reviews where we want to review this. In this case, I'm going to bug Hobnob again and make him a reviewer for this. Assignees are the people who are working on this. In this case, it would be I'm the one who's working on it. And we don't have any milestones right now, but these would essentially be units of work. Don't have to worry about those. Now, say you are building an update that requires somebody else's work. This is where you could put their merge request URL here saying, hey, you can't push my work until their work has been completed. Finally, we're going to go ahead and leave delete source branch when merge request is accepted checked because we do not want to work on our branch anymore because we fixed the links and that was our scope. Any other changes will be out of scope. So we're going to click the create merge request button. You'll notice that this opens up. The request information is up here at the top, along with the details for your merge request. You will have your information on who needs to review it listed here. And finally, a big button for merge, which will be able to be clicked by maintainers to merge your changes into the primary branch that you are trying to merge it to. You'll notice that it has been assigned to me, it has been added to a bug, and Soyblin me have requested review from Hobnob. All this information is on the right side as well. The assignee, reviewers, you can add more than one if you would like. The milestone, labels, and if you would like to receive notifications from this or not. So we have changes here. In this instance, we are going to leave our merge request open because everything is fine for right now. We're going to change that. And then just follow the merge request instructions here. You've got images and descriptions on what those do. But sometimes things don't go so simply. So we're going to go ahead and make some changes. This is the development branch. And I'm going to go ahead and edit contributing guidelines to make this just say contributing. Now we're going to go ahead and commit these changes. And because we're just going to commit all of them, we can click that check mark without having to stage anything, and it will ask you if you would like to always use all changes and stage them as soon as you click that button. And we're going to go ahead and sync these with the development branch. There we go. So we take a look at the README file. We'll notice that our development branch here just says contributing, while the README fix says contributing guidelines. That's two changes on the same file, on separate branches, and they were made after the README was created, which can cause problems when you are looking at a pull request, because you've got conflicts, and if you have change conflicts, you can't successfully merge the files together. As you can see, we've got a conflict. Now, you can solve these conflicts directly from the GitLab by going ahead and looking at what our changes are. So head is your changes, your branch's changes, while origin is the development branch's changes. At this point, we can go ahead and click use ours, this button here, or use theirs, this button down here. These files are also able to be edited inline, like so. So you see these, and you can make changes, so you can just delete all this and write whatever you want, and that will work. Or you can look at side-by-side view and see those. And same thing with editing inline. Again, doesn't matter if you're side-by-side or inline. You can make these changes and fix them however you would like. So say we go to the interactive mode and we take their changes. And then we go look at the edit inline, and you'll notice that this hasn't been updated yet because this doesn't save right away. My bad. So if you take their changes, you can commit the conflicts to the source branch, and that will fix them. If you're editing it inline, say we wanted to update the link, but keep just contributing, we can delete these and take the link from the top one and place it into the bottom one, and then delete the rest of the top one so the file looks proper again. And then commit it to the source branch directly from GitLab. That's how you solve conflicts. Sometimes you'll get merge conflicts where you'll have two changes, but both of the changes are important. So it's asking you, hey, which one are you trying to keep? And you need to use both. In that case, this interactive menu is not going to work, and you'll have to go and do an edit inline, and you just delete. Again, you're deleting these arrows with the name of the file and the equal signs in the middle and the arrows at the back. And then you can keep both of the changes. That works fine too. We're going to hit cancel on this though. And we're going to go ahead and do a different action, which will let you fix these merge conflicts before you even create a pull request. And this is called a rebase action. This comes directly down here on the rebase section after the merge request section in the instructions. So we're going to reopen Visual Studio Code. We're going to go to the source control. We're going to click on our drop-down menu. We're going to go to branch, and we're going to go to rebase branch. Make sure you are on your development branch when you click this button. Now saying, where do you want to rebase this branch to? Well, we want to rebase it onto our development branch. Development has changes. We want those changes to continue working off of, so we're going to click rebase our origin development. Notice it says there are conflicts over here in the merge changes. You got a conflicts over here at the bottom right, and the file changes to show with the arrows in head, the arrows in your incoming commit change, and buttons up here for you to take action against those changes. Now in this case, what we want is the incoming change, our change that we created. So you can just click accept incoming change. and then save the file. There are some technical difficulties during the Rebase tutorial part, and as you can see, there is a command menu open. You open that by hitting Control-Shift-P in Visual Studio Code, and as you can tell, we are typing terminal, : and create new terminal in active workspace, and then you can hit enter or select that once you have it highlighted, and it will open a terminal at the bottom of your Visual Studio Code instance, and any Git commands that we wind up typing will be going there. Okay, after further technical difficulties, I believe that I have solved the problem for rebasing. So we're going to try this again. Branch, rebase branch, our development branch. We're going to accept our incoming changes. We are going to save our file. We're going to go ahead and select the stage changes, and we're going to commit those. It's going to tell us, hey, what do you want to put in here? That's fine. This is our commit message. We're going to go ahead and close that. Boom. Our merge request is complete. You can see that we have successfully dev swivel readme fix link here. But however, you'll notice that if we sync changes, we have 1 incoming and 2 outgoing. We do not want to sync our changes after we complete a rebase. Attempting to sync will make you solve the conflicts again. We don't want to do that. So we need to click our dropdown. We need to go to pull push options here, and we need to go ahead and click the push option. Wrong answer. We need to type git push, and then type force down in our command line at the bottom. I'm going to change that. Git push force, so it's easier to read. And we need to add the force to it. Otherwise, as I said, we're going to try to sync those changes again, and we don't want to sync those changes again. So git push force, and that will go ahead and push our changes back to GitLab. From here, you'll notice that our conflicts will be resolved if we refresh our pull request. And all now we require is an approver to approve the pull request and merge it. That said, that is not what I meant to open. You do not need to see my emails. With all that said, that is going to be your basic introduction for how you will clone the repository, make your changes on your branch, and then submit those changes so that they are properly approved and processed into the correct branch for use in the 501st Aux mod. Now, with that said, oh, well, I can approve it now. And then merge. So, it's been merged. We're done with the development on this. We don't have to worry about it anymore. It's been, if we go look at the repository here and we go look at the branches, it no longer exists on the branch. Our link has been updated, it goes to the right page. So we don't need it. So we're going to head over here. We'll go ahead and either go to the drop-down menu and select branch, and then select delete branch from here. Or we'll go here and change our branch before deleting our branch that we would like to delete. That said, you need to make sure you've changed your branch so you're not on the branch you want to delete, otherwise it won't appear as an option. Click that, boom, branch deleted, and you're all good. Now, as you notice down here, you can see that there's 2 changes. incoming and 0 outgoing. That's what the down arrow and up arrow mean. And it simply says, hey, you've got changes that are waiting. So if we click that, you'll notice that our master branch is now updated to match what the repository has. Thank you all for listening. I did record this all in one sitting, so it is a little jittery at some points, but I hope this is helpful to instructing you all on how to use the GitLab repository and using proper branch naming techniques, following the contribution guidelines, and using Visual Studio as your code editor to have that direct access to the Git command line for parts of your project. Now, as you can see here, I've got some README display files, and there's a bunch of other extensions that you can get for Visual Studio, like OpenLastRTP, and a bunch of other fun extensions that will help you when you use Visual Studio Code, so you're more than welcome to go ahead and look through all of those. This one right here is my most used one. It's the spell checker, because I can't spell. And if you were wondering how to use that extension that we installed at the very beginning, you've got a little history button right here up in the source control panel. You just click that, close all these other windows, and you'll see our source here. This is the history of how source happens. So the history of our branches. These are the commits. This is a branch that has a commit on it. We've broken things. If we go ahead and synchronize our changes and refresh this, you'll notice that there you go. We've got the contribution guideline was on its own branch, and then it got merged back into the development branch right here. And that's what these break apart. And this allows you to reset your commits and do some fancy operations you don't really have to worry about unless things break. And if things break, you will not be the only person that is trying to fix them. As always, if you have any questions about how to use Git, how to use GitLab, or how to properly start transferring information over, then by all means, you are more than welcome to ask me. And I shall see you all next time.